Hey everyone, let's talk about the Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, San Jose Sharks, a few other teams, but also a three-way deal I could see going down. Maybe at a smaller scale. I'm going to go big just for, people like to go crazy on this stuff and maybe rip me a new one in the comments. But if you're a new subscriber, welcome. Always throwing some hot takes out there. Subscribe down below at that comment section with your thoughts. Drop a like, notification bell on so you get notified when I go live or post a video. But yeah, let's talk about this. So Montreal, they've built a pretty good fourth line here going into the regular season. And I think overall, when you're talking about the Montreal Canadiens going through a retool here, rebuild, retool, now you've got a pretty good top line of Slavkovsky, Caulfield, Suzuki. Make your debates. But anyways, the fourth line, Gallagher's cap hit's high, but you know what? Gallagher's an identity guy. You want to keep him with Montreal. I think that's the perspective. Jake Evans could be a rental piece. Joel Armia could be a rental piece, but I think you keep that fourth line together. Second line, probably some combination of line A with Kirby Dach with one other player. It could be Newhook, maybe Newhook centering the third line. So that's the perspective I have here. When you're looking at the Montreal Canadiens lineup right now, Slavkovsky, Suzuki, Caulfield, as I just said, maybe Newhook's on that left wing with Dach and line A, Josh Anderson, Dvorak, Joshua Waugh, Armia, Evans, Gallagher. I like it, but could you bring it to a perspective where you have more cap flexibility down the line, i.e. losing that Josh Anderson contract? And then, like I said, I think Gallagher's more of that identity guy with Montreal. He's been with Montreal for a long time. I think you keep him as a leader in the room. Josh Anderson, on the other hand, 3 more years at $5.5 million per year. I think Montreal Canadiens fans, they love what he did in the playoff runs, or at least playoff appearances and playoff run. And then I think just overall, when you're talking about Josh Anderson, he's been a good piece for Montreal, but then you look at last year, it was just a complete fall off the last 2 years. I personally go through struggles on a day-to-day basis. You guys see me on YouTube. You see me hosting. You see me doing things in front of large groups of people. That still can bring a lot of anxiety. While anxiety is a common experience, it doesn't have to hold you back from reaching your full potential. That's where BetterHelp comes in, the paid partner of this video. BetterHelp connects you with a credentialed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful and unbiased advice. First, you go to their site, answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who has years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or computer via phone call, video chat, or messaging. However you feel most comfortable, it's the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit BetterHelp.com/HotTakeHockey or choose Hot Take Hockey during sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. My perspective here is, could you get really creative with Toronto? And again, you don't see a perspective here too often. But let me just show you what a three-way deal could look like. So this is the three-way deal I was looking at here. Toronto receives Josh Anderson, Christian Dvorak retained. Get some younger players from San Jose. Montreal receives Mikael Granlund. I've seen Habs fans want Granlund. He's got 1 year left at $5 million. Maybe he partners with Line A, fellow Finn. Jan Ruda, maybe as a veteran defenseman on that right side. Cal Yarncrow, Holmberg, Villeneuve. So you just get some depth pieces. And then if you're San Jose, maybe out of Toronto, I've talked about this, you get guys like Liljegren, Robertson, and Camp. So the Montreal perspective here would be you trade with San Jose, you get Granlund, Ruda after dumping the Anderson contract. Like I said, Granlund and Ruda can switch to being rental pieces to flip at the deadline, or also you sign them for cheaper after this year because Granlund and Ruda each only have 1 year left on their deal, where Josh Anderson has 3. So if you're Montreal, you think, okay, we might be better this year, but we could compete next year and the year after. That's where you're like, okay, the Josh Anderson contract's gone. And that's where Toronto ultimately needs some incentive to do this deal. And the incentive that they're getting is, one, they're getting Christian Dvorak, a guy who played with Mitch Marner on a line, one of the best lines in the CHL we've seen. It was Dvorak, Tkachuk, and Marner on the London Knights. They won a championship. So that's Toronto's perspective. You get your third or second line center, depending on where Nylander is, if he's the center. Josh Anderson, Burlington native, played on the London Knights actually with Anthony Stolarz and Max Domi. More familiarity there. So I think the perspective here is Toronto, Montreal, they probably don't trade together, but we just saw Max Pacioretty sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Maybe there's crossover potential there. I don't know. I think Dvorak and Marner are really close, so that's why I'm kind of reaching here a little bit with the perspective. But I also think Montreal and San Jose can make a trade. So my perspective, if it was just Montreal and Toronto, just Montreal and San Jose, it could be Justin Barron and another piece, like a Josh Anderson going to San Jose with a draft pick. So if you just ignore that top trade, it could be Jan Ruda and Granlund going to Montreal, Justin Barron, Josh Anderson right here. Montreal attaches like a second-round pick and a third-round pick, dumps the Josh Anderson contract to San Jose, and gets one-year guys in Jan Ruda and Granlund, and they're set up in their cap picture a lot more. San Jose gets an additional draft picks. It makes a lot of sense. So this would be the smaller scale that I was talking about. So maybe it's not like a direct three-way deal, but maybe Montreal makes deals with San Jose and Toronto individually. So Mikhail Granlund, Ruda, as I said, Josh Anderson, Justin Barron, a couple draft picks. I think that makes a lot of sense for Montreal. And then, like I said, Christian Dvorak reunited with Mitch Marner in Toronto. Montreal takes on Yarncrow and Kampf. And then as on the fly here, you've got the Slafkovsky, Suzuki Caulfield. You could like mix things around here. You could do Doc there. You could do Newhook as the third line center. You could have Line shift to the left wing. Granlund as the fellow Finn. Then you have Yarncrow on that third line. Then maybe you have Pizzetta or Barbolet battling for that last spot. Kampf as an extra center for some good depth. Again, you've got Armia expiring. You've got Evans expiring. You can trade these guys at the deadline. And that's your perspective. And if you're Montreal, you get another draft pick out of it. It might make sense, right? Like those guys are cheaper on the cap hits than a guy like Josh Anderson who didn't produce at all. And then your defense, you've got veterans now on the right side in Savard and Ruda. So this is my perspective. Montreal, you can afford to trade David Savard. Worst case, and again, do you want to do that? Maybe not. But worst case, you could afford to trade David Savard, get a first-round pick back, and this is what I'm thinking happens at the deadline. And then all of a sudden, David Savard's out of the picture for a second here. Again, he's not actually out of the press box. But my perspective is then you've got Jan Ruda as a vet next to Hudson, and you've got the younger players on the third line in Jacky and Struble. So it's options for Montreal. Again, a three-way deal, it's a little bit ambitious. Not a little bit. It's very ambitious. But for Montreal, I think the perspective is here. If you can get out of that Josh Anderson contract now versus having that weight on you for year 2 and year 3, maybe Josh Anderson really develops some chemistry with a contending team. Doesn't have to be the Leafs. Maybe it's a different team. Or he goes to San Jose and maybe just the change of scenery helps him, right? Granlund, fellow Finn, playing with Line. I just talked about that. So give me your thoughts, guys. Like I said, if you look at Josh Anderson's stats, like I said, the familiarity with the London Knights, played with Stolers, played with Domi. Maybe he's a future Leaf, but also, again, I could see him being flipped to a team like San Jose. It could make a lot of sense, or a team like Anaheim. But you see the fall off here, right? Like the perspective is here, had a decent year, but the injury issues, 24 points in 52 games. Then back-to-back 20-goal seasons, but the numbers drop, plus minus not great. And then all of a sudden, last year, not good. Not even scoring 10 goals in 78 games. Not good, right? Even when you talk about Josh Anderson in the playoff run, production-wise, I mean, he wasn't great. He really wasn't. But that's really not overall the perspective is 43 games in the playoffs. He still scored 8 goals. And I think that's what matters for me. Like, you know what? You might not be a guy that's going to put up assists, which Josh Anderson isn't. He's also not going to be a guy that is the master producer. Like, I would see him in 20 playoff games putting up 10 points, 5 goals. Like, there's value there, right? For a third liner making $5 million, there's value there. Is it great value? No. But I think for the physicality, for the type of game you want in the playoffs, it shows well. Like, I think for a player, and I've been talking about Mitch Marner, that's a guy that needs to produce. He needs to put up assists. He needs to put up primary assists and score goals. He's making $11 million. You cut that in half for Josh Anderson. If he's putting half a point per game, but also contributing in so many other areas, or along the boards, winning 50-50 battles, in front of the net, causing chaos, scoring big goals in big moments, that's what those 5 goals in the 22 games, you'll take that any day from a player like that. So there's so many conversations, guys. Give me your thoughts on where you think the Montreal Canadiens will end up this season. Any moves they're going to make. Like I said, I do think between Dvorak and Josh Anderson, I think they're going to really look into moving one or if not both. And then guys like Jake Evans and Joel Armia could be trade deadline moves. And I do think if they trade David Savard, maybe keep that retained slot open. they could get a first-round pick for David Savard if he has a good start to the year. So thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, notification bell. We'll talk about the Montreal Canadiens more coming up, and more trade videos and more lineup prediction videos. Talk soon. Peace.